Milk.
A milk bottle. A milk bottle, these things are written. These are nothing but what? Specification. Nothing but specification. Specifications are nothing but customer requirement. Am I right? Somehow they understood the customer requirement.
Yes, sir.
Specification and product is in the market. A process of converting the requirement to appropriate technical specification is called QFD. You will be learning it in the background, right? So now if you want to make your product a great one or a world-class one, you must measure the sigma level of your product with respect to each of these characteristics. One of the characteristics is the calories your milk bottle will contain. Then here 137 calories contain. So customer requirement is how much? 137. Every milk bottle that comes out of your factory should contain 137 calories in it. This is the customer requirement. This is the customer targeted value. Is that clear? Customer target is understood?
Yes, sir.
Very good. And since variation is unavoidable, and customer gives you a tolerance, customer is okay to buy the milk product if you maintain a tolerance of plus or minus 2 calories. If you can maintain a tolerance of plus or minus 2 calories. See here it is written 137 plus or minus 2 calories. Now tell me, what is USL?
139.
What is LSL?
35, 135.
135. If you produce milk bottles having calories anywhere between 135 and 139, the milk bottle will be accepted by the customer and then you will be paid for it. This is the business requirement, customer target, customer tolerance, everything is understood. If you run business process capable of meeting this requirement, your business will be successful. Right? This is what we are trying to understand. If I run my factory, if I run this process and keep on producing milk bottles, how many milk bottles might get rejected in the next month, in the next 3 years, or in the next month production? I wanted to know it in advance. That is why we are interested in calculating the capability, sigma level, CPK, and all these things, right? And now I am visualizing customer requirement. Target is 137, PSL is 139, LSL is 135. So what is the specification with? 4 calories. How do I get this 4? PSL minus LSL. Am I right?
Yeah.
Now, I have to understand the capability of my process. How do I understand the capability? Can I go and check each milk bottle I produce? Come on, tell me, answer me. Can each and every milk bottle that comes out of my factory?
No.
Possible or impossible?
Impossible.
Impossible.
Sir.
So probably you might take a sample of milk bottle before probably every day or every quarter. It depends on the predictability of the process. It depends on the stability of the process, right? If your process is predictable, then you can minimize the sample study. So ultimately you will take some sample to understand the characteristics of the whole population, which is nothing but the milk bottle. So imagine you took 100 sample and 100 sample of milk bottles were sent to lab to understand the calories that is present. And so lab readings are available. Readings are with you. Can you calculate average using the 100 reading?
Yeah. Okay.
That is X bar. Mu is target. Average calculated from the data is X bar. Customer target is mu. Luckily, the average is also 137. Customer target also 137. That's a good thing for you. That is a good scenario for your business. But average 137 doesn't mean every milk bottle contains 137 calories, isn't it? Some bottles will have more than 137 calories. Some bottle will have less than 137 calories. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So you need to calculate standard deviation. You calculated standard deviation using the 100 reading, and that is found to be 0.66. Once you know X bar and sigma, will you be able to calculate upper control limit and lower control limit? Do you have the formula?
Yes, sir. 4 divided by 6 sigma.
X bar plus 3 sigma, X bar minus 3 sigma. So 3 sigma, sigma is 0.66. How much is 3 sigma then? 2. 0.66 into 3 is 2. 2 plus 137 is 139. That is your upper control limit. Similarly, 1 is lower control limit. Hope it is understood. Yes.
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 Now I want to understand the capability. I overlap my both diagram. Specification width is or process width is compared against the specification width. What do you understand? Both are equal. This is what
Yeah,
you
CP.
told. When both are equal, what will be your CP?
1.
Very good. CP equal to 1. When CP equal to 1, what is your sigma level?
3 sigma.
3 sigma. When sigma level is 3, what will be your success rate?
99.97.
99.
7.3. How are you able to get this much success rate? Because you maintained a very low standard deviation. Because you kept the average on the target. Am I correct? Business problem. Now we are expressing with the statistical statement. What is the statistical statement? My standard deviation is low. That means process variation is low. My process average is on the target. This practically means 99.73% success rate. So what is the rejection? Okay. Generally, reason for the elephant I will tell you. Don't worry about seeing the elephant. And now this practically means a small rejection. What is this percentage? 0.27%.
27, correct.
And now look at your process. Your process looks still wider, in my opinion. A 3 sigma process it is, which is giving you a success rate of 99.73. In my opinion, as a statistician opinion, it is still wider. 0.6 in this process is still unacceptable, I am saying. Why? Because the control limit has gone to the extent of touching the specification limit. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Control limit has gone to the extent of touching the specification limit. Something goes wrong, a small mistake happens, small deviation happens within your factory. What will happen?
Everything will go wrong.
0.73 will no longer be valid. Am I correct? Which is very difficult. You can't run a factory without any deviation, and you can't climb 99.73 every single day. There will be some variation, some deviation. And so this capability is not enough, in my opinion, as a statistician opinion. Hope all of you will also agree with me. I want a long-term success, not a short-term success. So this process, 3 sigma process, I'm going to give a nickname called the elephant process. Why do I call it elephant? You need to understand, you have put a big elephant in a small room. What is the room here? The space between USL and LSL. What is the elephant? The space between UCL and LCL. You have put a big animal in a small room and you are expecting the animal to stand straight the same position. Do you think the elephant will stand same position? Definitely no. Elephant is already wild. It is going to come out of it. Am I correct or not?
Yeah.
That means your control limit will certainly go beyond the specification limit. There are 2 ways your control limit can go beyond specification limit. That means your elephant, nothing but your process, can become violent in 2 ways. One is standard deviation might increase. Another thing is the center, the average might shift either to the right or to the left. Right? So now what is that happening? Is that
Average is shifting.
increasing or center is shifting?
Center is shifting.
Center is shifting. Standard deviation is same, but center is shifted. And now what happened to the 0.27%? It has now been, since the center has shifted, control limit also shifted. Now where is your control limit? Earlier it was on the spec. Now it is beyond the spec. The 0.27, can you see 0.27 has become somewhere around 8 to 10%? In certain cases, it will be more than that. All of you understand? So
Yeah.
what you thought as 99.73 in the long run is only 90, is only 80, is only 70. It depends on the case. But I'm only giving an illustrative number. So a 3 sigma capability is not good enough for a long run. You must aim for much higher capability. CP of 1 is not good enough. CP equal to 1 means the process is just capable, but tomorrow it will lose the capability. I want my business to be capable today, tomorrow, and forever. So aim for a CP higher than 1. The AAG recommendation is 1.33. 1.33 for non-critical process. 1.33 for non-critical process, non-critical products. But 1.66 for critical process and critical products. So your CP should be higher. So now, how can I improve my CP or how can I improve my capability? One thing is, two things. One is center, other thing is standard deviation. Look at your center. Center is on the target. Center is on the target. Am I right?
Yeah.
Center is on target. Okay, that is favorable. Now, the another factor is sigma. Earlier, you look at the sigma here. How much it was? 0.66. I reduced the sigma. I reduced the sigma to 0.33. I reduced the sigma to half of it. Now with the revised sigma, that is after reducing variation in the process, recalculate your control limit. What is the formula for control limit? Average plus 3 sigma. Now 3 sigma will be equal to 1. Am I right? 0.33
1.
into 3 is 1. 1 plus 137 is 138. Similarly, 137 minus 1 is 136. Now my control limits are pushed well inside the specification limit. All right. And now I converted the elephant into a giraffe now. Understand that you improved the process by seeing the curve color in the center. By seeing the curve narrower. Why the curve has become narrower? Because you reduced the sigma. Right? That means you converted the elephant into giraffe. Now you made your process doubly capable. Why do you call it doubly capable? Look at your specification width. How much is the specification width? 4 calories. But what is the process width now? 2 calories. So process occupies only half of the space your customer has given. That's why your process is now called a doubly capable process. A doubly capable process means now if you calculate the CP will be 2. CP equal to 1 means just capable. Sigma level is 3 sigma. CP equal to 2 means doubly capable. Sigma level will be
increase
6 sigma. Now tell me, what will be the distance of specification limit from the center of the process?
X bar plus 6 sigma.
6 sigma. And so the process is called a 6 sigma process. A 6 sigma process will also undergo some deterioration in the long run. Let us imagine a deterioration. The process deteriorates. Center is moved. Now what kind of deterioration? Center is moved. Process is shifted to the right. As a result, control limit also moves. Statistically, it is estimated that in a long term, process will shift, any process will shift by an amount equal to 1.5 sigma. Even after shift, how much distance is there between your control limit and specification limit? Somebody tell me.
1.5 sigma.
That is why even after the shifting of the process, your process is still capable. All the outputs your process is producing, see here, all the outputs that are produced beyond the control limit are still acceptable by the customer. Only a very, very small portion can go beyond USL. That is what we say, that is also limited to just 3.4 DPMO. Process has deteriorated. Failures are happening. Products are coming outside the control limit. But this is only internal failure. Customer can't see it. Customer is okay to accept even this product. Customer can only reject the small tail. That small tail is quantified as 3.4 DPMO. This is the benchmark set by Motorola. Benchmark performance set by Bill Smith and Michael Harry. And now what happens? One second. So if you actually consider this portion, tail portion alone as the failure, tail portion that that the end of the tail, that alone as the failure, you can say the rejections are limited to 3.4 DPMO. But if you are a company practicing 6 sigma, you want to be very proactive. You can see this portion also as a failure. Do you get my point? Do you want the customer to check and then reject your product, or you want to proactively reject? If you want to proactively reject certain product, you can consider everything as rejection. Go back, study the process, improve whenever you see outputs going outside the control limit. And that means internally it can be considered as 8 to 2% rejection, right? Because now considered everything outside the control limit as rejection. But as far as the customer is concerned, rejection is only beyond the spec. So this is why Six Sigma is considered as proactive way of defect detection. Right. So this portion is 3.4 dpmo and now see here, I'm showing a process now. The process, does it look like an elephant or a giraffe? Looks like a head of the elephant.
Elephant.
Now tell me, what is the sigma level of this process?
3 sigma.
6
3
sigma.
sigma. Why do you say 3 sigma? Distance, you are measuring the distance between specification limit and the center. It is 3 sigma. What kind of success it can give you? 99.73. But 99.73 is valid only for short term. Long term, what happens? Your process might shift. So note, 99.73 is only a short term success, right? So the process is now improved. You can see process appearing taller in the center and then narrower. That means you converted that into a giraffe. And now, how did you convert? You reduce the sigma. When you reduce the sigma, what happens? Control limit comes inside. After the control limit comes inside, now tell me what is the distance between specification limit and the center of the process?
6 sigma.
Sigma.
X bar by 6 sigma.
6 sigma. So process is 6 sigma, and now the kind of success rate will be 99.999. It is no more 99.73. It is 99.999. This 99.999 is not just not a short-term success. It is a long-term success. It even takes into account the 1.5 sigma shift. With 1.5 sigma shift concept, you will be mastering probably at the next level. But any process will be subjected to some amount of shift. And even after the shift, what kind of success your process delivers? 99.999%. So what will be the failure rate in terms, if you quantify, that will be limited to 3.4 dpmo, defects per million opportunity. If there is only one possible defect in your process, 3.4 dpmo will be equal to 3.4 ppm. And now under this condition, your CP and CPK will be same. See now what will be the CP value? Can somebody tell me? What will be the CP value for this process?
2.
CP will be 2. CPK will also be 2. CP will be 2. CPK will also be 2. And because the process is centered perfectly, if the process is centered perfectly, CP and CPK will be equal. If the process is not centered like the previous case, CP will differ from CPK, and you need to understand. So one more thing. What's the time? Oh, already later. Okay. Once you are discussing CP, CPK, I don't want to miss this. Give me another couple of minutes. I will also show you. Just sharing it. Yeah. Right. See here, I'm showing a slide. What is the CP value calculated here?
1.66.
1.66.
1.66.
So process capability is good. Now what happened? This process shift, and now you calculate the CP again. How much it will be?
CP is 20. 20 minus 12.
Well, it will be same.
Yeah, it's same. Yeah.
Why? Because you see the distance between upper control limit and lower control limit is how much? 12. When the process is shifting, again the distance between UCL and LCL will be same.
Yes, sir.
Specification width is also same. Nothing is changing. Your CP will again read as 1.67. Here 1.67 has a meaning. Here 1.67 has got a different meaning. So that is why I told you CP is not a true indicator of your performance. It is only potential indicator of the performance. Do you all understand?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We should not trust the CP. CP is only giving the potential, but what your process is delivering, it cannot tell because this process is shifted. That is why you need to go for CPK. CPK, there is change in the formula. You see here, USL minus X bar by 3 sigma, X bar by LSL by 3 sigma. Now, what is the difference in CPK? We brought X bar also into account. Because why we have gone wrong in the previous case? X bar is changed. X bar was not 40. That has been brought into the formula. When I brought X bar also into the formula, and CPK is minimum of CP upper and CP lower. What is CP upper, CP lower? CP upper is the right side half of the specification width divided by right side half of the process width, which is USL minus X bar by 3 sigma. Do you see USL minus X bar by 3 sigma? Similarly, left side of X bar minus LSL by 3 sigma. So why I divide the specification width as well as process width into 2 half? I want to understand whether my process is either shifting to the right or shifting to the left. Now tell me, when my process shift to the right, of the process tolerance or which side of the specification width will get affected? When my process shift to the right side, the blue bar will reduce or the red bar will reduce? The blue bar one will reduce.
Blue bar will be reduced.
Blue will reduce. When the process shift to the right, blue will reduce. When blue reduces, CP upper will reduce. Similarly, when my process shift to the left, green bar will reduce, CP lower will reduce. Whichever side the bar length reduces, that side risk will increase. I want to capture that. And so I use the formula minimum of CP upper or CP lower. Do you understand how? We are interested in finding out the risky area. So when I see here for the same shifted process, I calculate CP upper and CP lower. Earlier it was 10 on the right, 10 on the left. Why 10 on the left, 10 on the right? Process was centered properly. Now process is shifted. The right side, 10 has become 5, but left side 10 has become 15. So left side is not in trouble, but right side is in trouble. Calculate CP upper. 5 divided by 3 sigma. Sigma is 6. 5 by 6. 5 by 6 is how much? 0.833. And CP lower. 15 by 6. That is how much? 2.5. Now tell me which one I should consider. 0.8 or 2.5?
0.8.
0.8. CPK is 0.8. For the same situation, CP is how much? 1.67. So what CP is telling you? CP is telling you the potential. But what CPK is telling you?
Stability.
Delivery.
Performance. Yeah.
Real performance, right? So CPK is the best measure of process capability. CP should be used only to understand the potential, but CPK should be used to understand the real capability. So that is why there are two metrics. Right? I think now you understood. Now there are two things Vinod sir was telling. One is stability, another one is capability. Stability can be understood looking at the CP value. CP speaks more about the stability. CPK speaks more about the capability. Or I would say, yes, see here, when CP is more, let's say CP equal to 2. CP equal to 2 means your results are consistent. CP equal to 2 means your results are consistent. Consistent means same result. But whether the same results are good results or not, CPK can only tell. Do you understand? See, we want to produce everything same. We want everything to be good. We want to produce everything same and we want everything to be good. And in order to understand whether everything is same, CP. In order to understand whether everything is good, you must look at CPK. Clear? So ultimately, we expect CPK to be more than 1.66 or 1.67. As well as CP should be equal to CPK. CP equal to CPK means your process is performing to its fullest potential. Do you understand? CP equal to CPK means your process is currently performing to its fullest potential. You have extracted everything that the process can give. Yes, you have done your job. The next level of performance requires a change in the process, a major change in the process. Got it? If CP is not equal to CPK, it means potential is not fully tapped. You can run one more project and try to tap full potential. So CP equal to CPK means your process average is on the target, right? If CP is not equal to CPK, please understand your process average is shifted. So you have to move the process mean close to the target. When CPK is more than 1.66, that means you are more than 1.66 means you can say process capable. I'm sorry for this. You don't have to say consistent. You can say your process is capable, right? But CPK is is less than 1.66 means you have to check both variation as well as center. I think now understood the difference between CP and CPK.